Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Favorite Albums Through the Decades, the show that we're doing throughout the month of May, where we take a look at some notable bands who were or have been around for quite some time, where they've released albums in more than 2 decades, right? So, and this could be a metal band, hard rock band, classic rock band, doesn't really matter. We're kind of drawing from all the different genres and subgenres that we cover here on the channel, but we're really going after those bands who have been around for maybe 30 plus years, right? Or at least in 3 decades. So today we're going to take a look at a favorite band of mine. Call them progressive rock, call them folk rock, call them blues rock. We just like to call them Jethro Tull, right? Ian Anderson and company have a whole lot of albums. They've been around since the 60s. They have released, as Jethro Tull, we're going to look here just at the albums that are called Jethro Tull, not so much like Ian Anderson or Ian Anderson doing Jethro Tull or something like that. It's just the Tull albums here. So we're going to go way back. So they've been around since the 60s. So we're going to start with their second album from 1969. My choice for the 60s is going to be Stand Up. Okay? Basically the album where things really started to make sense for the band. The first album, this was much, basically an English blues rock or maybe straight blues album, some may call it. Whereas on Stand Up, you had all of a sudden, the folk influences coming in, little bits of kind of like the intricate nature that their music would take, which we would later call progressive rock. There's certainly some blues rock on here as well. The first album with Martin Barre on electric guitar, Martin Barre on the electric guitar. You got Glenn Cornick on here as well, Clive Bunker, and Ian Anderson. Classic tracks on here, of course, you've got A New Day Yesterday, big, beefy, almost cream-like blues rock. Jeffrey Goes to Leicester Square, the wonderful Boré, the little flute excursion there. You got the wonderful Back to the Family, good bluesy hard rock song. Look Into the Sun, nice and uplifting. Nothing Is Easy, the Barnstorming hard rock on the album. Totally love that. Then you got the quirky acoustic Fat Man. We Used to Know, Reasons for Waiting, and of course the dramatic closer for 1,000 Mothers. Really great album. This is, of course, one of the... I can't believe how many versions of these Jethro Tull albums I have purchased or have gotten over the years. Incredible. So this is this was the 2010 release of this. All right, they've since come out with the box set with, of course, the whole 9 yards. I have that too. So that's my pick for the 60s. And going into the 70s, a lot of great choices here. A lot of great choices. Yeah. This was tough because all my favorite Tull albums are from the 70s, and there's probably 4. They're all really good. There's really there's maybe only one from the 70s that I'm not nuts about. All the others I like quite a bit. I always seem to go back to, though, and this is probably going to surprise many people, I go back to Benefit from 1970. I love this album. This is just a good hard rockin' album from Tull. Great songs on here. With You There to Help Me, killer opener. Kind of psychedelic, kind of bluesy, kind of folky, definitely prog and hard rock. Nothing to Say, great hard rocker there. Alive and Well, Living In, kind of quirky. And then you got Sun, right? Great vocals from Ian on that. For Michael Collins, Jeffrey and Me, another good kind of folky song. Then you got To Cry You a Song, blistering hard rock number, really complex, great song. Time for Everything, another killer song. Inside, fantastic arrangement on that. Play in Time, good quirky song, lots of great flute and guitar licks. And Saucity, You're a Woman, regal, majestic. All right, then if you throw Teacher on there, right, as well, great track. I don't know, I love this album. I could have picked Aqualung, I could have picked Thick as a Brick, I could have picked Minstrel in the Gallery, I could have picked Songs from the Wood. You ask me next week, I might change my mind. I've we did ranking the Jethro Tull albums, I think last year, early in 2020, and I picked Benefit then. I have over the last year really grown attached to Minstrel in the Gallery. Really love that album. And I adore Thick as a Brick. So this is tough, right? But today I'm just going to go with Benefit. because it's been my favorite Tull album for quite a while, but there are other albums that are vying for the position, hot and heavy. So for now, I'm going to stick with Benefit. All right, so the 80s, a little bit easier here. But again, I like most of the albums from the 80s, some a little more than others. This one, kind of tough because it was really between two albums. I'm going to go with, kind of three, I guess. I'm going to go with Broadsword and the Beast. That's going to edge out Crest of a Knave and A. This is quite a different album from the ones we've talked about so far. A lot of keyboards on this album, very kind of 80s sounding, but it still sounds like Jethro Tull. Still has plenty of good guitar work from Martin. There's still just enough acoustic guitar work and flute on here, but it's you got Peter Vitesse on keyboards. He adds a lot of synths to this album, but I think it really works. This album really brings, A kind of started that transition, but I think Broadsword and the Beast really solidified Jethro Tull as a viable force in the 80s. Some killer songs on here. I love Beastie. Clasp is intense. Falling on Hard Times, just got that's a good old school kind of folky, bluesy Jethro Tull track. Flying Colors, great chorus, a lot of cool synths. Slow Marching Band, really emotional, majestic, wonderful song. Broadsword is great. Title track, Pussy Willow, killer. That's a great chorus on that. Watching Me, Watching You, fun. Seal Driver, awesome. And Cheerio is just gorgeous. I like this album a lot. I was not huge into this album back in the day. I have grown to love this album as time has gone on, and I think we're going to be getting a box set for this probably sometime over the next year. Now that the A one just came out, this is next. So that's my pick for the 80s. Going into the 90s, couple choices here. But in the end, there's really only one, for me anyway. 1995's Roots to Branches. This is a very strong album. This, for me, and I'm not going to count the Jethro Tull Christmas album today, although that would be my pick for the 2000s, because it's the only one, and it's a great Christmas album. I love it, but I'm mainly doing, the new albums of all new original material. Out of the 90s, you had Catfish Rising, which, is really bluesy, kind of laid back, folky. I like it. I don't love it. And jtull.com or jethrotull.com, which is the last thing they did, 1999. Not a big fan of that. Never really was. But this is great. This is probably, for me, my favorite Tull album since Broadsword. All right. I don't know what's going on with the slow-mo thing here. But, some great songs on here. Title track is great. A lot of really interesting kind of Middle Eastern musical things going on here. Rare and Precious Chain, awesome. Out of the Noise, awesome. This Free Will, yeah, that's good too. Valley's awesome. Epic sounding. Long Red Valley. Dun, 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 dun. I saw them on the tour. It was outstanding. Dangerous Veil's another really good song. Beside Myself. I'm beside myself. Great album. What else we got on here? Wounded, Old, and Treacherous, pretty good song. At Last Forever. Stuck in the August Rain, pretty good. And another Harry's Bar. Not nuts about that, but I would say the first 75% of this album is all killer, no filler. I like this a lot. Like it a lot. So there you have it. That is the Jethro Tull Through the Decades. Reiterating, we'll give them Jethro Tull Christmas album from 2003. That's all we got from that decade. Nothing since. We've got Roots to Branches from the 90s, Broadsword and the Beast from the 80s. Going to stick with my Benefit from 1970 for the 70s, and for the 60s we're going to go Stand Up, but I could see a lot of people throwing in Aqualung in the 70s, or Thick as a Brick, or Songs from the Wood, or Heavy Horses. I mean, even Stormwatch. I love all those 70s albums. The only one I'm not crazy about is Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. I'm not a big fan of that album, but the rest of them, great. All good stuff. I mean, and there's probably some people that are going to want to include, Thick as a Brick 2, which is like an Ian Anderson solo album with sort of a new version of Jethro Tull. That's a pretty fun album. I like that too. So, I decided not to include that. So, there you have it, everybody. Jethro Tull, favorite albums through the decades in the comments below. add in your favorite Jethro Tull album from each of those 4 decades, or if you want to do 5 and include the Christmas album at the end, because it's the only one, so we're all going to do that, so go right ahead and do that. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. So coming up tomorrow, we've got the Ultimate Classic Rock Mixtape Challenge, which is basically part 2 of this mixtape challenge thing. We did last week, we did the hard rock and heavy metal mixtape. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a classic rock mixtape. So this is for, if we were to go back to the 80s, we did this all the time back in the day. You would make mixtapes for people who weren't familiar with a band or a style of music. You'd go and make them a mixtape of stuff that you love that falls into that category or from that band. So tomorrow, Sydney Taylor, Jack Toledano, Craig Seibert, and myself are going to make a mixtape for someone, don't know who that person would be, who has never listened to classic rock before. We're each going to put together a track list of songs for our mixtape, and then judging will be none other than Mr. Martin Popoff tomorrow. He's going to pick his favorite out of the 4 that are presented to him, and then we were going to do it tomorrow. We have to move it to Sunday. Jack Toledano and I will be bringing you top 10 songs of Metal Church. So that's coming up on Sunday, and then of course our regular scheduled program starting once again on Monday with the Hudson Valley Squares on Monday, Tuesday in the Prog Seat, Wednesday we've got the What's Hot with Sea Tranquility review show, Thursday the Monsters Den, and Friday morning once again, Friday morning at the Funhouse with Martin Popoff and myself. So stay tuned for that and lots of other things sprinkled throughout the week, some ranking shows, all that good stuff. I am Pete Pardo. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. Have a good evening, everybody. We'll see you over the weekend, all right? Bye-bye.